Say hi to her.
All right, we're streaming and recording, and the mics are live.
What this says is all in my pocket.
Sure. Gotta be in there. Sure. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the Monday, November 24th regular board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Nellie Shire.
Here.
Doug Kuchko.
Here.
Lori Zarbach.
Here.
Don Kuski.
Here.
Andrew Coop.
Here.
Phil Henkel.
Here.
Kevin Jensen.
Here.
Miriam Vavra.
Here.
And Bert Richard.
And Randy, was a proper notice given for this meeting?
Yes, please be advised that public notice of this meeting as required by sections 19.84 and 65.90 of the Wisconsin statutes has been properly given. Such notice consisted of a notice and agenda to the official newspaper, the Rice Lake Chronotype, to the Eau Claire Leader, and radio stations WJMC and WAQE indicating the date, time, and place of the meeting. Such notice was given more than 24 hours prior to the meeting.
Thank you. It does appear that a proper notice was given for this meeting. We will now stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we get to start off with recognizing some of our students, which is always a good part of our board meetings. And so we will start off with the Rice Lake High School.
Good evening, everybody. Mark Bicey, Assistant Principal at Rice Lake High School. Tonight, I have the honor of recognizing Mr. Quinn Ebner here today. He is one of our juniors at Rice Lake High School, and he is the son of Ryan and Christine Ebner. Tonight, I'm going to read some words written by one of our paraprofessionals at the high school, Miss Jane Thompson. And what I think is unique about this is Mrs. Thompson is in the classrooms helping other students, but by doing that, she's able to observe and kind of be that fly on the wall and see what our kids are doing, kind of like quote unquote when nobody's watching. And she has nominated Quinn today for academic excellence and leadership, and this is what she writes. First of all, he's an outstanding student role model. Quinn is a standout student. He's not only academically a great student, but he is very kind and helpful to all of the students in the classroom. He's a great example to other students within the classroom. He's always engaged, never goofing around, and willing to help others, always being on task. He is the perfect example of a student that should be recognized. I would just add, obviously in my role, I deal a lot with discipline, sometimes the negativity, and Quinn is not in my office. In fact, I have the honor of knowing his father, but I don't know Quinn as well. So I appreciate that. And I don't know if you saw, there was a Facebook post on the Rice Lake School District social media page, but back on October 22nd, one of Quinn's hobbies, he's an outstanding mountain bike racer, and he won a state championship this year as well. So just another example of our students doing great things in the classroom, but also outside the classroom and working on that balance. So congratulations, Quinn.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. And then picture there.
Where are the parents?
All right.
Congratulations.
All right. And Rice Lake Middle School, and I did forget to mention on the last one, but if parents want to come up here, videotape or take pictures toward the podium, you're welcome to be by Mr. Drost and get some pictures. So Rice Lake Middle School.
All right, the seventh grade teachers at Rice Lake Middle School would like to recognize Abby Ellis for her academic excellence, leadership, creativity, and consistent demonstration of the Warrior Way. Abby's math teacher shared that she is a hardworking student who always gives her best effort. She participates actively in class, offering thoughtful ideas and asking questions that deepen understanding for everyone. Abby is dedicated to her own learning and willingly supports her classmates when they need help. She listens carefully, follows directions, and treats teachers and peers with respect. Abby's science teacher added that she is a model student, both socially and academically. She completes her work on time, producing careful and neat assignments. Abby is always willing to help others and has a natural ability to motivate and guide her peers. Her bright, cheerful demeanor makes her a pleasure to have in class. As Abby's language arts teacher, I echo all of these positive qualities. I would also like to highlight her exceptional creativity and initiative as a writer. Abby independently began crafting her own original story outside of class. Her work is imaginative, detailed, and thoughtfully developed. What stands out most is how her enthusiasm has inspired others. Several classmates have joined in, collaborating with her and contributing to the world she created. Abby welcomes their ideas and encourages their efforts. We are lucky to have Abby as a part of our Rice Lake Middle School community.
Smile. Well,
Tainter Elementary.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Gruby, and I'm a teacher at Tainter Elementary. I would like to nominate Tucker Petrick for his perseverance and resilience. Tucker is a first grader at Tainter Elementary, and he's friendly and kind-hearted. He always demonstrates the warrior way, especially when it comes to being respectful. He always shows kindness and compassion towards others, and he goes out of his way to comfort others. He is always willing to lend a hand and encourage others. He has a great attitude when working on challenging tasks, and due to this hard work, he has made some really great gains in his academics. His smile and determination brightens the day of staff and students at Tainter.
further smile.
We're over there. That's awesome.
Hagen Elementary. Okay. And then Hilltop Elementary.
Hello, I'm Natalie Springer, principal at Hilltop Elementary, and I am here with Miss Callie Foss, one of our staff members at Hilltop. And we are reading the nomination submitted by Gail Gores, one of our teachers at Hilltop, for Anaya Sukiak. She is a second grader at Hilltop, and she is the daughter of Harvey and Gina Sukiak. And this is what Mrs. Gores wrote. Anaya shows kindness and respect for her fellow classmates, teachers, and peers. She leads by example by always being a positive role model in and out of the classroom.
Anaya has become a brave and eager student, meeting and getting to know new staff and teachers at Hilltop. She is a very brave student who has faced her fears with tremendous growth.
Bust the place up.
All right. I would like to congratulate all of our winners this evening and let you know that your names will be added to a drawing from all the other students that are recognized over the school year. And at the end of the school year, we'll have a few lucky winners for a Chromebook. So good luck on the drawing. With that, we'll take a brief moment and let everybody leave if you'd like to leave. If you want to stick around, please do so. Once it'd be nice if somebody would take us up on our offer to stick around.
We're so excited.
I don't even think there was a thought. They
No.
just jumped up
No.
and said, "Fail."
Exactly. All right, now we will also recognize food service staff recognition.
Yes, and I don't know if you saw on social media on our Facebook page, Aaron Johnson had worked to put together a video, and it was centered around last week's Thanksgiving meal that was served in the district with all the fixings and trimmings, and so they kind of got the video was great, and just an FYI for that day, they went through 242 pounds of pumpkin batter. I like pumpkin bars as much as anyone. That's a lot. 289 pounds of stuffing and 471 pounds of turkey. It took them a full day just to slice the turkey alone. And so they served on that day 1,390 meals were served for the Thanksgiving meal. Last year, for the 24-25 school year, the entire year, there were in the district 73,130 breakfasts served and 190,614 lunches served. So a lot of work that they do for the good of all students in the district, serving wonderful meals for everyone, and we wanted to give them a hand. So.
Thank you for all that they do to keep our students nourished and in the classroom. All right. Next, we have no appearances. We will move on to the approval of our regular session meeting minutes from Monday, November 10th. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Opposed? And the minutes have been approved. Next, we have our consent agenda where we have 3 employment resignations and 2 employment recommendations. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I would like to just put a shout out to Mrs. Pelly and Mrs. Cole for their long time tenure here for our Rice Lake students. They spent a lot of years with a lot of different students making a difference in their lives, and we appreciate everything that they've done over those years. Just between the two of them, just for our community, they would have 54 years of experience between just the two of them. So thank you for all that you do or did. All right, next we will move on to our report section, and we'll start off with DPI issued the school and district report cards.
So,
Hello.
I know you look forward to this every year. We'll touch on some of the pieces of the report card, go a little more in depth on pieces, and you have a copy of the school and district report cards in your packet. So I'm not going to go through every page. They're 11 pages long. I'll point out some highlights or areas of interest, but if you have more questions as you review those, feel free to reach out. So as you know, the DPI issued report cards come out annually to focus on accountability for school districts, as well as help districts to focus on areas needing improvement and to publicly report that information. There's also a lot of data in those 11 pages on the report card that we use as the district administrative team, our coaches, our teachers dig into some of that data to help guide some of the work that we're doing and to help with our school improvement. So student achievement is one piece of that, and that's based on the state assessments each year. But there are other pieces as well, including attendance, chronic absenteeism, and graduation rates, which I know you've heard about throughout the year as we report on that. There are other non-scoring pieces of the report card that are included just for information, such as course and program data that's not included into the score, but just as an informational piece to be included. The third grade reading results are also in there this year. There's multiple years of data included and averaged out on a weighted basis, with more recent years weighted more heavily. And those help make up our report card scores. So as we look at those, the accountability are some areas of strength overall as a school district have been our student achievement. We continue to score at or above the state average. We have made great gains and are on track to graduation. You've heard a lot about our attendance and how attendance has been improving over the last several years. So that's been something that we want to celebrate. We also want to look at areas of growth for us, which would be student growth. We'll look at that in the report card, as well as target group outcomes. So all of the report cards for all districts in the state are available online on the website. You can go look up any school or district in the state if you wish. There are some changes this year. There was a standard setting process this summer over quite a period of time with dozens of people represented there to look at some of the changes over the past few years in the report card and do some standard setting. So if you want more details on that, that is also on the DPI website, unless you have specific questions now that I can try to address. All right, then let's take a look. This is our district score. We are rated at the same level as we were last year, meeting expectations with an overall score of 64. This is just the front page of the report card, and we'll dig into some of those pieces as we go through. These are the new score ranges as a result of that new standard setting that took place over the summer. So you can see the changes on the right and the current score range in the middle there. All of our schools within the district remained at the same rating that they were last year. Just to note that we are all meeting expectations. Hagen is exceeding. The high school is 0.6 points from meeting expectations this year. So progress, making progress there. Just an overview of this first page, first of all, for the school district. There are 5 components that you can see. At the top is the district details. Then the student groups kind of in the middle or closer to the top, student groups. The score summary across the middle. And then the priority areas and the graphs that show that. So we're going to take a closer look at each of those priority areas. As you know, if you recall from previous years, the percentage of economically disadvantaged students impacts the weight of achievement and growth on the overall score. So because we have 42.3% economically disadvantaged students in our district, our achievement priority area is weighted at 20.1% of our overall score, and the growth priority area is weighted at 20.9% on the district report card. That's a formula that's written into statute and encourages, just recognizes the difference between districts that are in that district. The heavier weight on growth encourages us to focus on making sure that all students are growing and learning regardless of where they start. The achievement is one point in time, the growth is achievement and growth across time. So looking a little more closely then at those 4 priority areas. Starting with achievement, we'll focus in on achievement first. It's based on the results of the state assessments, so forward exam, ACT, pre-ACT, and the dynamic learning maps, DLMs, for the most significantly students with significant disabilities. So first of all, you can see the achievement score makes up 20.1% of our overall score. We are above the state in ELA and math, as you can see in the graph in the upper right-hand side. And our district is scoring the same or higher than 52.6% of districts in the state. These graphs show the district-wide percentage of students at each level. So developing is the orange, approaching, meeting, and advanced is the blue in ELA and math. That's what goes into the achievement score. There's a lot more information, as I said. This chart is something that's helpful as we, as an administrative team and staff, look at the different student groups and how they score, how those different subgroups within our schools have scored on the assessments in English language arts in this graph, and then math on this graph. So I know you can't see all that, but it's in the report card, and that is the kind of information that we want to take a closer look at to see, to make sure we're meeting all students' needs. The next priority area is growth, and this has been a focus for us. It is a heavier weight for us in our score. Back that up again. Our growth score is up 0.9% this year. You can see in the chart on the upper right that we are lagging behind the state in our growth score, so that's something that we want to continue to work on. The little bit here about how the growth score is figured. It's a year-to-year progress from one state assessment to the next year. It compares students of similar demographics from similar schools, compares their growth to the predicted growth. So we want students to be growing at a higher rate. That would be our goal with the work that we're doing. This just helps recognize that difference between the students that they're served and wants to help us focus on how students are progressing. Regardless of where they started, we want all students to be progressing. Any questions about growth? All right. The charts here, again, show the comparison to the state, shows our weight, 29.9% of our overall scores on weight. Some additional information that's found in the report card. This is on page 5 in the report card. The chart that shows average growth would be 3. That's the line down the middle. It's based on a 6-point scale, so we want to be moving students beyond that line in the middle over to closer to 6. Other questions about growth?
What are the units again? The numbers in the boxes?
That's the growth
Is that a,
percentile ranking for those student groups that are listed
so
there.
that's a change
out
in
of 6.
percentile compared to the rest of the state?
It's growth is actual student to student comparison and then lumped into a big formula to determine the overall growth rate. So with the students in those student groups that are listed on this 6-point scale, higher growth, closer
Okay.
to 6. So the small number in there is a number less than 6
What do you think is a significant change?
in growth.
Yeah,
Well, the 3 is average growth. 3 would be what we would be the baseline or the average. So we would want to be have each student, the growth, each student group
but from one
higher
year,
than 3.
from one year to the next, how much? I mean, if it goes from 2.4 to 2.5, it's possibly not significant. How much does it have to change?
That would be the growth score, but this growth score is based on the achievement, the test score. So a student's test score could improve, but if it didn't improve as much as other similar students from similar schools across the state, wouldn't have as high a growth score, if that makes sense. It's a very complicated formula.
I want to know who dreamt this up,
Right,
honestly.
So what, do you have an example of another school from up here that we might be familiar with that might have a better rating than we have, just for purposes of comparison?
Yeah, I've been looking a lot at similar schools and their achievement and their growth. And as we've always said, we're happy that we're above the state in our achievement, but we do want to make sure that all of our students are growing.
Yeah, I know that the scoring has problems, but it would just be interesting to see, what a highly rated school district looks like that the DPI gives them a higher rating. Because I said this last year, I find it hard to believe that our high school is rated 2, though barely.
Yeah, you could compare, you can look at these same aspects, of course, from any district, and we do that, or I do that at least. And we look at what they're doing and
Just to see some other scores, that achievement and growth, top part of that pie graph will be a little bit different for everyone.
Mhm.
The part I question is, so the growth is based on achievement scores. And we have high achievement scores, so then we have to do higher than our achievement scores to get growth?
Nope, the value added model compares similar students, so low achieving student to a low achieving student. There's a predicted growth. If those two students from two different districts, if one grows and another grows more, the one that grows faster or
Gets a higher
gets a
score.
higher growth score.
Okay. All right.
Or a very high achieving student who maybe doesn't grow a lot, but is still high achieving. And there's another high achieving student that
Okay.
scores even better. The next year, those actual scores are compared. and the
Okay.
formula
So that
is to-
at least
But
is
The-
a lot.
the
That makes
problem-
Every student can
logical.
grow regardless of where they start,
Right.
whether low or high achieving.
But didn't we decide last year, and even down at WASB, that the scores are designed to kind of average things out a little bit? If you're high achieving, the low growth district, they like to weight the achievement a little less and the growth a little bit more.
The weighting is based on the economically disadvantaged percentage. So
Yeah, it's okay.
that's how it's determined, the weighting. The higher the rate of economically disadvantaged students, the higher the weighting on growth.
Last year down at WASB, in the 3-hour workshop on Tuesday before the main body of the convention, as I recall, those people just kind of threw up their hands. And I can't remember what sites they told us to look at, but they clearly didn't have a lot of respect for these ratings.
Well, part of it was because of the formula, and there's a factor that gets put in there, and that factor has no basis. And that's where their issue with the whole report card piece comes from, is because that factor, that 66 number that they had in the whole equation, it doesn't, there's nothing that points to what that really means, what that number comes from. It's just a random number that gets applied, and
They're looking at the result they want, and
so
putting
the formula
X factor
continues
in
to
there.
change. The other problem with this, even within our own district, the elementary buildings, we've got 3, none of them are compared the same. So the scores at each one are looking at different percentages of that pie chart based on the student population.
Like even just while we were talking, if I may, I went to the Hudson School District, that DPI report card page. You can look any school up quickly. And I knew they would have a significantly lower free and reduced lunch percentage than ours. So ours was 42 and change, about 43% overall. Theirs is 13.9. So when you look at their pie graph, they are weighted 39.1% on achievement and only 10.9% on growth. And so that fluctuates quite a bit based on free and reduced lunch numbers. So we're rated 20%, right? 20%, 20% on achievement.
You mentioned 29.9 on growth.
Yeah, and they're rated 39, almost twice as much on achievement, and about less than half as much on growth. So it's different.
What's their district number?
Overall, they were at 77, and their ELA was at 76, and their math at 82. But yeah, so
And we still beat them this
different differences between districts, and like I said, significantly different there based on free and reduced lunch numbers and what their graph looks like.
It is hard to compare the actual rating and numbers across the state, but the data within that does help us to look at areas where we can focus and improve for within our own district.
No, Marcia, one other thing I noted, you had commented on our graduation rates, which seem very good. But on the on track to graduation portion, it says we're better than about 32% of the state, which, again,
You want to go
That
ahead to
doesn't
that one,
sound-
as long as we're,
on track to graduation, I don't know what page.
Keep going. Yeah.
Page 6, I guess.
well, it's.
Oh, there.
It said priority area score, 85.4. This school's score was the same or higher than 31.4% of grades 9 to 12 schools in the state. I don't get that.
Neither do I.
As far as the on track to graduation score.
Yeah, I mean, why would we graduate
Go.
in the 90s?
So the four
Yes.
pieces, these are the four pieces that make up the on track to graduation score that you see up here now. Chronic absenteeism is a part of that. Graduation rate is a part. And while I'm there, our chronic absenteeism score is up 6.4 points this year. And we are above the state this year in chronic absenteeism score. That's good. Higher's better for the score.
Sounds
So
like,
it's not-
sounds like bad.
Yeah, yes. Higher's better with the score, yes. Our graduation rate is up 0.4, and yes, you can see we're above the state for our district graduation rate. The other two pieces that are part of the on track to graduation for the district, which this is a little different for the schools, but for the district, it includes third grade ELA, because students who are reading well by third grade tend to have good outcomes and graduate. And eighth grade math, that's another indicator of success in school and graduation. So those are the other two pieces that make up that on track to graduation score. So it's not just graduation, but those four components, if that,
And the chronic absenteeism is a year behind,
it's lagged, yes.
so we should be seeing a jump
Yeah.
again this next year.
Used to be the previous 3
Three.
years. And,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. And 23, 24 is the most recent year of data for attendance, graduation, and
Oh,
chronic absenteeism. So yep, we'll continue. As you know, you've heard the reports, our chronic absenteeism.
That
Um,
makes sense. I didn't realize they factored in that third grade and eighth grade math. So I was,
It's weird.
when I was looking at it, it was not making sense. But
For the
I
district,
could-
yep,
For the district.
yep. And then that's a little different. We can take a quick look at the schools too.
Any other questions before we let her move
Quick
forward?
look at the,
Backwards,
yeah.
whichever direction we gotta move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's that?
Keep
going.
We're good.
All right, we'll quickly just take a look at each school. So the high school score, as we said, meeting few expectations, but 0.6 points away from meeting expectations. Almost there. A lot of hard work, almost there. So these are the main points of the front page of the report card for the high school. The weighting, see, it's a little different for the high school because the rate of economically disadvantaged students is different at each of our schools. So 27.9% on achievement and 25.4 on growth for the high school. You can see the achievement in ELA, scoring above the state, and math above the state. And it says the school score was the same or higher than 59.0% of high schools in the state. Those are the other priority areas. So achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation. So you can see for the high school, on track to graduation is just chronic absenteeism and graduation. And our score, the chronic absenteeism score is up 7 points and graduation score is up 3.7 points. Doing well there. Middle school, meeting expectations with an overall score of 64. Those are the information for the middle school. You can see their weighting, 19.5% on achievement, 30.5% on growth. Achievement, also scoring above the state in ELA and math. The school score is the same or higher than 52.5% of the 6-8 middle school. So that's another difference. Most middle schools are 6 through 8. Our middle school includes 5th grade, so that impacts the score a little bit too, but. Here are the priority areas then: achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation. We looked at achievement, that we're above the state there. Again, good improvement on the on track to graduation scores for chronic absenteeism and the overall on track to graduation score. And then each of the elementary schools. So Hagen is exceeding expectations with a score of 72.2. Because of the low enrollment, we can't get target group outcomes scores or on track to graduation scores because they don't have sample sizes of 20.
Growth.
At least 20
No
in that area.
growth. No growth.
Yes, I
Right.
said that wrong, sorry.
Yep.
No growth because we don't have, yes. So it's weighted all on achievement and target group outcomes, sorry.
On track.
On track to graduation. I can't see the colors and I should remember that. Yeah. So it looks a little bit different, but we can compare achievement at each of our schools. You can see their achievement scores for English language arts and math as compared to the state. So we can compare our own schools in that way, just not the overall school if you're just wanting to look at achievement. Hilltop is meeting expectations with an overall score of 70, so just 1 away from exceeding expectations. And you can see they do have all 4 components included in their report card. You can see the weighting there in that chart. And this shows the comparison to the state for achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation. And Tainter scoring 67.3, meeting expectations. Very heavily weighted on growth, 39.3, and 10.7% on achievement. So there are the ELA and math achievement scores as compared to the state, the growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduation for Tainter.
All right, I got another dumb question. So how do they weight to get a total score? Is it on a student, like how many students are in each building?
The weight is based on, there's the higher the economically disadvantaged percentage, the more weight there is on growth.
I'm just talking about, so like, we got a total score of whatever, 60.
67.3.
Yeah.
overall score.
So
each of
Tainter
those-
has a high score. How, that, do we just divide by
Overall.
5 by all 5 schools, or do we,
Oh, for our total.
for our total?
Total?
Yeah.
No, it takes all the information together, not.
And weighted
individual
per
schools.
student then? Like how many students are at each building, or?
Total in the district. So the district is district overall, but not each school added together. It's individual.
It somehow
All of our
recalculates,
students.
somehow
just trying to get,
recalculates
like,
it.
a formula.
Marcia, I was going to
can't
say, I
explain
think
it.
it would be helpful. I know you showed us at the curriculum meeting, but if they saw the
What the formulas are.
multi-page equation that goes into this, I mean, it just boggles the mind.
One of the links in there that has. the
I'm good.
formula.
I don't think I'll understand it anyways.
You know what?
No,
You
it's-
got me flummoxed.
But the numbers are showing us what you're saying, and I think that's what we have to look at and understand that you are focusing on these areas, correct? I mean, this is what you're using as a
Yes.
tool, so
Yes.
God
I
bless
appreciate
you.
that.
I mean, the pieces we're doing,
a
right?
lot.
The pieces, we've had the focus on attendance, the pieces we've been focusing on with especially elementary and middle level literacy and the letters training and all of those pieces. We were frankly a few years ahead of Act 20 as far as state legislation goes, and the math pieces as well with Chris Britton and all the math coaching and curriculum committee have been a part of some recent adoptions there. And the professional development that they participate in, we're going to continue to focus on those pieces. That's what we're going to do. And we've seen change there, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I tried to understand it, but I haven't had enough education yet.
There's a lot that
You let us
goes
know what's
into
going
it.
south, okay? Just let us know if it's going south.
Yeah.
We are on the right track.
Good.
This does give us areas that we can look at more closely and things to work on.
So
Always room for improvement, right?
every once in a while, we have to answer a question, something like, how are we using the data to improve? And Randy just talked about that. So if there's an area that needs improvement and we focus on it, say it's math, you focus on by spending more time in the classroom, changing the techniques, utilizing the math coaches, what categories of, when you say we focus on an area that's weak, what are the categories
Yeah,
of things? that
I
we
would say
actually do?
utilizing the coaching and professional development, definitely. And a part of that is looking at the curriculum. Is the curriculum meeting the needs of our kids? And so those would be the main pieces, looking at, are we hitting, and from a curriculum standpoint, you can get into vertical alignment. Okay. And I do feel really good about this in terms of math. I'll stick with that. Of what our kiddos learn in kindergarten is, and then layering on top first grade and second grade, and ensuring that just because you want to teach this in this grade level, no, it actually belongs in this grade level. And I mean, all those pieces Chris has done for a long time, ensuring that what's supposed to be taught in each grade level is being taught, and we're staying in our lane that way. But
We also look at if there are areas where we need improvement, what changes could we make? So in our instruction, as we look at our curriculum, making sure it's meeting the needs of our students, we have a multi-level system of supports that you've heard about. So if a student's not successful, what can we do to help that student be successful? Can we change our instruction? Can we try a different intervention with?
And I'll stick with math. I was right. We have the interventionist as well. Was talking with Chris Britton, I don't know, a week or two ago in the last couple of weeks. And we do those screeners, right? We do math and literacy screeners several times a year, 3 times a year, would be more accurate. And so with those, and she was looking at elementary schools in particular, and for 1 or 2 of them, the screener data lined up very well with the forward data, the state testing data that they take in the spring. And for 1 or 2 schools, it didn't line up, and she was frustrated. But then looking at, okay, what's the testing schedule and what does that look like? And part of that is, especially in the springtime, our kids get tested a lot. And so the look at all of those pieces and how they factor into a kid's experience with testing.
It's where we dig more deeply into some of the other pages in the report card to help us make some of those adjustments so that all of our kids can be successful, because that's our goal.
Marcia, do you know if the equation for achievement changed from last year?
The standard setting, the levels
the
changed a little, but-
equation used to determine what the 64.3 is.
the
Did that
equation
change?
did not.
Okay, so in theory, we could go back to achievement last year and
Well,
compare those directly.
The standard, the rates, rankings, it is hard. compare the achievement actually, because for the past 2 years we can compare. That's why, let's see if I have one of those. We can compare last year and the year before, but the assessment had changed a little bit with new standards for ELA and math. So you can't compare 3 years ago, it was forward data, to the last 2 years forward data. So that did impact the score a little bit, and the scores changed. So the actual score is hard to compare beyond
The last couple of years.
year.
And
Yeah, so this year is kind of a baseline, and we'll continue on from
Yep.
there.
And do you know if we have the resources or the raw data that you could take the numbers from the prior years, put them into the new equation so we could go beyond that or no?
You could see how we compare to the state. You
Yeah,
can
but
see our
from just
overall
looking-
percentage
yeah,
on the
looking at-
assessments, but the assessment changed because of the new standards.
So
So
no.
it is kind of hard to compare.
Okay.
They've said you're not supposed to compare this year's report cards to last year's report cards, and
I feel like there's a mad scientist somewhere that's
That's useful.
And one more question more for Phil. Do you know, wasn't there a announcement that the WASB was going to put that as a high priority to talk about the DPI scores and the grading? Is that on their list?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things they talked about at the assembly, was the DPI and the school board, or the school ratings and things, to try and come up with something that is easier to be defined. What that
great.
means, I don't know, but
That would be great.
That was the graph I was going to get back to, that actually compared 2 years of assessment data for achievement. We're pretty consistent last year and this year with achievement. If that helps.
So, Marcia, just want to go back one question on the high school's report. It was the post-secondary education preparation section. Industry recognized credentials. It said we were rated at 2.2% versus 5.5% versus the state. Now that sounds like something that shouldn't be able to be massaged that much. And I'm just curious as to what does that mean? I mean, to me, when I look at that, I'm thinking, well, I think we have a good tech ed program,
Mhm.
but is it not?
Mark can
pertinent to
probably
what the
talk
industry's
quite a
want?
bit about industry credentials. There's certain, and also, by the way, that's for information only. It's not part of the score. Those pieces
Okay.
that you're talking about isn't part of the score, but industry credentials.
Mark, can you come up to the podium, please? Thank you.
I'm trying to find it here. I should have written down the page.
Toward the back of the high school.
Yeah, I haven't dug deeply in that, but I think what they're looking at is when you say the credentials are any way that a student can leave the buildings with some sort of certificate for a certain skill. So for example, we offer CAD 1 and CAD 2, so students can take the entry-level SolidWorks examination and get that. We have, and we've been looking at ways to increase this, but we've had students get like their CNA certification and things like that. So when I look at that, I believe what they're probably looking for is more opportunity for, again, the students to gain some sort of a skill that's got some sort of a credential to do that. For example, another one we have is like the Microsoft Essentials through Mr. Adams and Miss Orr. So I think they're looking at that. So if we're looking at how do we bump that number up, it would be looking at how we can change, I would say, some of our curriculum or some of our organization to get students with more credentials. I know we've been consistently, I haven't been totally involved, but working with, for example, some of our local, adult care providers. How do we get more opportunity for students to get like that CNA? Because we know there's a definite need for that. So when I look at it, that's what I believe. And again, I think the more we can do that with students, great. And I think that should be something we look at as a goal
So
to continue to do that.
It sounds like maybe if we could integrate with industry, find out what they want, have them help finish our students that are taking a certain area of tech ed or whatever, so that when they go to the business, they're ready, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the more opportunities. So for example, with welding, I don't know what a student certification would look like that would be recognized by the DPI. Does that mean that they have to attend a certain amount of hours down at Northwoods Tech and do, meet certain competencies? Most of the stuff we're talking about is the student has to meet a competency. So when we do the SolidWorks exam, there's the competencies that they have to pass. So it's probably, I'd say the first step is partnering with those. I'm just going to use Northwoods Tech again and welding as my example. Do we need to talk to those folks, get in the same room and see what does that look like? Now, sometimes is it a possibility to get a certification, something like welding, or do you just have to go and do the full program, which then that takes it out of the element of what we can do locally? But we do have students obviously that go to UW, EC, and Northwoods to take certain classes. It just depends what they're defining as a certification.
Well, and some of those pieces, even just locally, wouldn't be a part of that. But, all the high school teachers recently visiting 4 local businesses with plans to visit more and having conversations with them about the skills students need. And, even just some interesting, I heard, Mr. Bice, if you can confirm this, but I think like CVTC and maybe Northwood Tech here drop their machine tool
I'm hearing
programs.
that.
I can't confirm that, but, what does that mean for students that have that interest? And probably means changing. I think what it used to be more like an apprenticeship program, like, plumbing or something like that. But so there's some pieces changing there as well.
And we had, just to piggyback off that a little bit, we had the students that they did have the CNC Academy for a while, and that was basically a certification. And we get that met all the standards. 'Cause I know there's like a kickback and some money that we get. I don't believe they ran that this year, but for 2 years we had students that were at Northwoods for about half a day doing that machine tool program. As I was just sitting up here thinking, another area I know we've been looking at certifications in that kind of goes with what we've been having going on in the district is that childcare certification. I believe that's an avenue that we've been exploring. I could talk to Mrs. Eckstein, but I know we also looked at like the food service piece, like for Safe Serve and things like that. So there's room to grow there without question.
So could we have people from a business come in, again, looking at Rice Lake Weighing, it's an easy example. So if the welding course or CNC machine or whatever, come in and look at the program, see for themselves what the students are learning and say, well, this isn't exactly what we need when they come out, or, help them to.
We do that as part of our advisory board, but I think what we have to look at probably first is what is the DPI defining as a certification, and what does that mean? We have to meet those standards first, because the industry folks that we deal with won't know that answer either. They know what they need for their business, but we have to see what the DPI is saying. This meets the level of a criteria for a certification that is seen on this report card. Some of the ones I listed, I know do,
there's
but
DPI, and then there's also our local businesses, like our welding program. I mean, Rice Lake Weighing donated equipment, help get that set up. Our instructors train with them so that, when students graduate, go through welding 4, they're ready to go on to the next step. Now, is that a DPI certification? I don't know. Off the
to
top
my
of
knowledge,
head,
again,
but
going back to welding, I don't know of a certification that a student can get at the high school level unless they're fully down there doing the actual program. So those are the kind of the bridges too we want to look into, because if I would, I bet money on that with our welding program, if there was a certification a kid could get, whether it's demonstrating the competencies or passing a test, we'd have students that could do it tomorrow. I just don't know if such a thing exists. There are for other areas like the CAD, for example, but I don't know, like for welding, if the reason what they would even call that. I'm not familiar with that. But I think it's an opportunity to get the conversation started, because we've all said, and I know we're all on the same page, that the more we can get our kids to walk out of our buildings with not just employability skills, we do that already, but a piece of paper or whatever that says, I did this. This is why I'm a good person to think about hiring or investing as an employee. We want to do that. So,
Thank you.
you bet.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Next, we will move on to the Rice Lake Middle School 26-27 course description, first reading guidebook.
Lori Leaf, Rice Lake Middle School Assistant Principal. There's not many changes to the handbook this year, updating the school nurse information, revamping the ACP goal setting section and ACP section, removing that benchmark testing, and then just some changes. Staff updated their course description for tech ed and STEM, fifth grade art. The math sections replaced Common Core language with Wisconsin Standards of Mathematics. Algebra 1 was reworded and geometry was removed for this year. Then language arts for fifth grade, seventh and eighth grade were all updated. Fifth grade social studies was updated. And then the keyboard, business ed, computer classes were changed to the 21st century literacy. It was replaced just to kind of open up when we have to rehire, so we don't have to have someone that's specifically certified. We can open that up a little bit. And those classes essentially are the same, just kind of figuring that it's going to be a little bit more project-based with the same curriculum in it.
Any questions? All right, thank you. This is a first reading. Next, we have the first reading for the 26-27 course description guidebook at the high school.
Yes, Mark Bice again. I'm kind of standing in for Mr. Pohoki on this one. And I was able to meet with him a little bit to go over things. First of all, a little bit of a timeline. Obviously, tonight's the first reading. Our December meeting will be the second reading and the approval. Our scheduling materials, there'll be a packet that goes home to students over the holiday break. And then on the 12th of January in our homeroom, we'll start kind of having our homeroom teachers go through and kind of coaching the kids a little bit on how to use all this stuff. They'll have started that a little bit with their parents over break. And then on the 19th of January, we start scheduling already. So that's kind of the timeline here. So in talking with Mr. Pohoki, most of the changes, and I believe he would have provided in the packet kind of just a list of the changes, are mostly housekeeping type things, updating some of our flow charts, updating like the financial literacy piece that'll be that the class of 2030 has to do. There are different pieces in there. There's no course changes like additions or subtractions. There is one course title that's been changed a little bit. And then that's kind of added the YA, so kind of goes back to the conversation we just had. The YA is another part that will be in the course description book now, so students can see that in there with their parents. And just different pieces there. So I can try to answer your questions, but again, there's nothing, no major changes here this year other than just housekeeping, updating flow charts, things like that. If you've seen our course description book, I'll take zero credit for it. It's all been student services and Mr. Pohoki, but it is a super neat interactive document that when I was in my teaching role, we had nothing like that. So it's an incredible document to help families choose pathways with their students. So.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the curriculum committee update. We met on Tuesday, November 18th at 5 o'clock, and all board members were present. We got an update on our world language department and all that they've got going on, not only at the high school, but at the middle school, and some things that they're looking at trying to expand and give some opportunities for more student involvement with world language. And it was exciting to see the three teachers that presented. One will be retiring after this year, but the other two, with their energy and excitement and things that they had, it was just really fun to see the passion that they have in what they do for our students. So it was really exciting to hear some of their thoughts. And they're actually looking, I know they contacted me about doing an internship at Rice Lake Wayne. They were checking on that to have students with our international sales team and what that might look like. So they're already working on some things along that line. So that's exciting. That's one of the things. And then also they talked about getting world language down into the elementary building, and possibly using some of our students to interact with the kids and do some things along that line. So more to come there, but it's exciting to see all the things.
Sounds like they're also going to Costa Rica.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be a great opportunity for them to use what they learned in the round
Yes.
trip. Round trip.
All right. And then we had an update from the middle school on our Starry program that's being used up there, as far as a intervention for some of our students in the reading area, and gave us some numbers as far as student involvement, and then how some of the teachers are moving forward. It's a slow process, so it sounds like they'll only be doing 2 different units up there, and that'll take them through the end of the year. And so that was an update. We will bring them back with staff at the end of the school year and let us know how this is the first year on that intervention. And so we want to stay on top of that and see how that works for our students. And then we did hear a little bit about the name change that was just mentioned in the course description, as far as the keyboarding and those business classes at the middle school. And the reason for the name changes was simply because it gives us more flexibility to hire someone for that position. And that was our meeting. We'll be meeting again on January 15th at 5:00. Anybody have any questions, or committee want to add anything extra to that? If not, we will move on to policy. Policy met the other night, Thursday, November 20th. All board members were present, and we went through, we could continue to talk about open campus at the high school and what that might look like going forward. And then we talked about cell phones mainly at the high school, but then also got into artificial intelligence and what that policy is going to look like. We worked on that. And then, as you can see in the board packet, we went through a number of different policies, exhibits, and rules, eliminating some of the exhibits that were not needed going forward. And we will be meeting again. What's the date on that? Oops. I have to look. What was the date, Randy? Do you have that?
January.
Yeah.
January, I think that first week we're back.
January 8th. January 8th at 4:30 we'll be meeting. And that was that. Anything we want to add to that committee? If not, well, some of those policies that are on the list here will be coming back. Will be coming as a first reading here. We're starting to make progress, so we'll be seeing those coming back to the board, full board for approval here in the next few weeks. All right, information section of our agenda. The Warrior Connections Committee meeting minutes. Randy, anything you got to add?
Yeah, those pieces there. Chris Fitzgerald was invited to the meeting and with his new role at Mosaic. He's been working on it. I can't, and Phil and Nellie maybe jump in feel free to jump in. I can't remember if he said he's given this presentation or they're just working on presenting it, but it's something various committees and you as a full board have had some conversation about, just, screen time and all those various pieces. And it's, so Chris was there. He didn't go through the entire presentation. He's going to work on a few pieces related to that as well. And Dale Zuzik was there giving an update from the high school and talking about, their screen time challenge was taking place at that point. I think the results were posted online. Oh, wait, you're talking about them tonight. That's right. I forgot. I knew I saw them somewhere. As well as the, little things, they're calling little things big differences. things like additional assemblies and music in the lunchroom on Fridays and different games and pieces to engage students. But in the middle school as well, Veterans Day program was a success. Fifth grade leadership is kicked off for the year. Student council continues to meet and work on various projects. But yeah, just that education piece. And there was a link Adam Beaver had shared the day before, or shared previously, that was shared with committee members too, just getting into some of those deeper topics. And that was focused mainly on, boys and young men and some of the challenges they face these and how, some of those things are of an epidemic proportion. And so continuing to talk about those things and how we can integrate those in. But I don't know, Phil or Nellie, if you have anything else to add in.
It was a really good meeting. We did a lot of brainstorming. I think Chris basically said he can adapt his presentation and even talked a little bit about how we could get some of the presentation that's pertinent out to parents a little bit more. And for instance, at the beginning of the school year, parents have to sign some forms. Well, maybe ask them to go in and view whatever Chris's presentation is about this too, whether it's, for instance, making sure that their kids don't have access to the internet when they should be sleeping at night or whatever. Ways to get it out to parents. And then we talked about how we could get it in front of the consciousness of kids in the schools a little bit using the media we already have, the televisions and the lobbies and things like that. And and then I think Dale talked more about the little things, big differences that Randy mentioned, just the whole, many, I think it came out in email to all of us, but just a lot of fun things to engage the kids and get them to interact with each other. So I think it's really encouraging. I really think our committee has contributed a lot just by elevating the focus of these issues and why they're important to the district and students.
All right. Anybody have any questions? All right. Next on the information section, our second board meeting in January is always a retreat night. The last couple have been the regular Monday night, the second Monday meeting of the month, which this year would be on January 26th. But we have in the past years back, have switched it to a different night. So be thinking of that. If the 26th is going to work, let Randy and I know. And then if you have any topics that you'd like to have discussed, the main one for this retreat in January is for everybody that is down at the convention to bring back that information from the convention of the sessions that you've gone to that are things that you'd like to discuss, maybe some things we would want to implement or possibly look at implementing into the district and utilize some of those good ideas. And so that's the main part for that retreat. But we also could have some possible time for some other discussion as well. So
Can I ask a question as a newbie? Is it it's an extended meeting, so it's like 3 hours, 4 hours? What is your time commitment that you're requesting?
we typically about 3 hours, no more than that.
Okay.
And that includes supper. We normally move that up into the evening earlier. Somewhere typically we've been starting around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then run a 3-hour session.
Great, that helps. Thank you.
So that is good information to let Randy and I know so we can make some plans going forward. With that, we will move on to our WASB Public Policy Correspondent Update. Phil.
Well, everything is a real grab bag now, I'll tell you that. I'm gonna sort of select some things that seem a little more pertinent here and leave you to go to the links if you would like more detail and look at them yourselves. Act 42, I think I mentioned this already. The legislation was passed by both the Assembly and the Senate and sent to the governor to sign. It's about restricting cell phone use in schools or restricting wireless communication devices in the classroom in schools. So basically, we've got this covered already. By law now, that has to take effect by 2026. Policies may be more restrictive, and we just have to make sure that we have a policy in place which satisfies the requirements of the law by, I don't know exactly when. I'm sure Randy and Colleen know.
It's July 1, I think.
Yeah. So we might just have to review our policy and make sure it complies with the law. Legislative update. No big surprise here. The SPED reimbursement, which was supposed to be 42%, we expected it to be 39 or 40%. Actually, prorated by the first payment might be lower than that, down around 35%. Have you seen that? Do you know? Yeah. Other bills that have been sent to the governor for possible signature include more timely notification of parents of alleged sexual misconduct by staff. This must have been a problem for some legislator in some district. One that's interesting and useful and doesn't put much of an onus on high schools is requiring the higher educational institutions to report data on costs and outcomes that must then be forwarded to high school juniors and seniors versus counselors, so they can talk about how much does a course of study cost and what is the usefulness of it when they get out. So that sounds good, actually. Couple other things I already talked about. I think I've mentioned all of these. Just again to emphasize, there's a Senate bill that would change the way the Department of Workforce Development administers technical grants, which would be advantageous. Currently, if in order to get a grant, a school district has to come up with 200% of that amount in order to receive the grant. Well, that's been reduced to 100%, and what the money can be used for has been expanded. So that's good. There's been the proposed legislation out of the Assembly to facilitate the whole process of a dual enrollment for students between high schools and institutions of so-called higher learning. The bill for math that's analogous to the I'm blanking. The reading bill that came out is not going very far, very fast because it needs more work. A number of bills are being considered that would help school districts with funding for consolidating. So I think that's about all I'm going to say on the state. For the feds, there has been more action in the Department of Education. They have outsourced 6 programs to other agencies that seem like they could do the job, namely the Department of Labor, Interior, HHS, and the State Department. And when you look at the titles, it seems to make sense. The Office of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Office of Post-Secondary Education and institutional-based grants has been given to the Department of Labor. Indian Education goes to the Department of the Interior. On-campus child support care for parents enrolled in college goes to HHS. Foreign medical accreditation goes to HHS, and international education and foreign language studies goes to the State Department. And this does not mean that the Department of Education still is supposed to be involved with these programs. But apparently the major portion of the administration of them goes to those other departments. So I'll quit there. Thank you very much.
Right, any questions? Thank you. Upcoming meeting schedule, we've got a webinar on December 17th. Of course, the school board convention, January 20th through the 23rd down in Milwaukee. And then February 19th, there's a WASB school law conference down at Elkhart Lake. Registration is required for that, so if you can attend that, please let Colleen know as soon as possible so she can get you registered. And that is the upcoming meeting schedule. And with that, we'd be looking at hearing from our students.
Do we not have a meeting on the 22nd of December? Skipping that one?
No,
We only have one meeting.
just, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Barista.
Yes, hello, I'm Mariana. I was here last week, but I'm a junior class rep this year.
Hello, my name's Hugo. I don't know if any of you remember, I came here last year when I first got elected, but I am a sophomore class rep.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about some of the things going on, giving some insight into the life of high school right now. We have the Thanksgiving food drive that FFA helped put on. We have another update on our screen time activity, where you guys have mentioned the small ideas, big differences, as well as winter and fall sports update. The upcoming Coaches versus Cancer, as many of you probably know, is an annual thing, as well as the student blood drive coming in December.
So one of our activities that has been going on is the FFA food drive. The past 2 weeks, all 4 grades have been competing to see who can bring in the most non-perishable food items or bring in cash if they don't want to bring in different items. Kind of just helping the families in need during this holiday seasons that may not have the necessities that they need at home. Also mentioned earlier the phone screen time activity between homerooms, which have been going on these past 2 weeks. You can see the week 1 and week 2 winners. The 11th and 10th grade have the same winners, but kind of just trying to get screen time down throughout the high school through all the students through this activity. Kind of just a way to reward them for.
So that's a daily average? Hour and 40 minutes?
Yes. This is their weekly average for the past, I think this is this week. So that's how much they spend on average per day.
Per day?
Yes.
Okay. 7 hours.
Keep in mind hunting. Keep in mind hunting happens. So I will say mine personally went up this week compared to last week, but I blame the trees, Sam. So I blame the tree. Look up there, it might drop it. So, but yeah.
You mean you're not scanning the woods for the deer?
Oh no, I am. But,
Oh, okay. All right.
Listening, and if you look
quiet
too
time.
hard, then your eyes are just starting to blur. You can see, but it's not safe. You might fall asleep.
All right.
So,
Just glad you're up in the tree. That's
That's awesome.
That's good.
So pretty much what we have learned from this activity is all the screen time adds up to daily teens' lives. Some students have 7 to 8 hours as shown as the national teen average, and this is a good way to try and bring that down. And after a while, that really adds up, as shown on the screen, 125 days out of the whole year that a student can just be spending staring at their screen. And all as a reward, the winning homerooms all get a reward, and also the student from each homeroom gets put into a raffle for a $100 Quick Trip gift card. Kind of just an incentive to lowering their screen time.
Is this something that you would repeat again, maybe in the spring?
I think it'd probably be a good idea after a while to bring it back.
Absolutely.
I think that's the intention, and specifically potentially around spring break time. You know, that's the time you're not in school. So some people have work, some people just take that whole time to kind of be doing nothing. So trying to do that around that would be a good.
And no deer hunting.
Yeah, and there's no but yeah, so we plan to do it potentially again second semester.
Awesome.
But that was this one.
So here are just some of the past activities from Small Things, Big Differences. One of the groups that I and a junior class rep lead. So the past few weeks, like this past week, we had our level 1 resource and also our High Five Friday activity. Try to get more students involved. So first of all, our level 1 resource, kind of as an incentive to try to get students to bring their grades up, is to get them to level 1 resource. And one of the things that we thought would be a good idea is bringing a game every once in a while to show like, oh, and you're in level 1 resource, you can come to this game and you get a reward for just participating. And then our High Five Friday activity this past week, we had 5 different teachers had a raffle and a Culver's coupon, and the 10th student to high five them, they won that gift. And it kind of just tried to help get more student involvement throughout the day, just a small thing as high-fiving a teacher in the hallway when you pass by. And then one of our upcoming activities this week is apple cider during lunch. Just something small, just kind of small things that build up over time.
Yeah, and that's for this week. So we're doing that tomorrow during lunch, and then we're already in the works of planning all the things for the holiday week with Christmas coming up. So I believe the last week we did a dodgeball game on Thursday during level 1 resource. So that was that game for the week. I know people had fun with that.
We talked who gets to pick the music for music in the lunchroom on Fridays.
So it's funny. We let people sign up, but I will say that I know the teachers really love Bjorn House has been doing a lunch, and we'll be down there and we play the classics. So the teachers tend to favorite that, but the students not so much. They
crowd pleasers.
The people that have been doing B lunch and C lunch, but.
So what would be considered a classic song?
Take me home country roads, my friend.
Johnny Cash.
Yep.
Sweet
Yeah,
Caroline,
John Denver, Johnny
really?
Cash.
Oh,
Please say
all
80s.
right.
Please say 80s.
I mean, we rock,
I'm
but
teasing.
the
I had to
students kind of, they know to avoid A lunch sometimes.
That's all right.
They can always request if they really want it.
It's the oldies but goodies.
Yep,
Okay.
the oldies with the goodies.
All
and-
right.
I mean,
Good
I
lunch.
feel it, so I don't know B and C, but
It's funny.
everyone says that they've enjoyed it. So music's been a good addition to the lunchroom for us right now. So moving into our fall and winter sports recap, there was, as many of you know, state swimming, which was in Waukesha, I think. Yeah. Okay. So we had 2 divers go. We had Miriam Hutzler, who's a senior this year. She placed 12th, and Amara King, a sophomore, who placed 13th, representing Rice Lake. Then we had the 200 and 400 yard freestyle relays, both consisting of Ella Newhouse, Elise Johnson, Delana Bowen, and Alana Kopp. That's in the order in which they swam as well. Placed 13th for both relays. Alana Kopp, who placed in her individual events of the 50-yard freestyle and the 100-yard freestyle, she placed 15th and 16th in those, and Delana Bowen placing 16th in the 500 freestyle. So again, good to see so many people, at a state event. Like, that's exciting stuff. So it was a crazy. I don't know if you guys were there. I'm sure you were there, but they're swimming against people who are swimming D1 swimming time, so it's pretty crazy. But we had girls basketball this past week on Tuesday. They scrimmaged versus Baldwin Woodville on November 18th. They had a big win of 66-41. It was also a youth night for them, so they had that being their first time. The student theme was Purple Out in honor of Blair, and all the little kids in the picture had something purple on so something in the community just for the House Stags there. So an important game, good to win as well, always. They had the girls' youth carnival November 22nd. So that was fun. Again, all this youth stuff early on. The boys' youth night is further on towards February. Boys basketball has a scrimmage against Altoona tonight. That's going on right now, I believe. Kickoff of their season, they don't have a real game, and girls don't have another game until December. So after Thanksgiving break. So that's nice. Give them some rest over break. We also have boys swim and dive starting up this winter. They have their first meet in Menominee November 25th. So tomorrow. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes for them. That'll be the kickoff for their season as well. But there you got. So we talked about coaches versus cancer. It's something we do yearly for FBLA. It's December 9th this year with the doubleheader of the girls and boys playing at home. The girls team are playing versus Cameron, and the boys team versus New Richmond. Something new we're trying to do this year is get the Cameron FBLA team involved with the planning process as well, since they're so local. We came up with the theme of superheroes this year. We try and make it tie in a little bit so you can see that the fight against cancer. We're pretty excited about it. There's lots of things we're doing with it. And again, for girls, I know we're trying to do the halftime activity with the youth doing tug of war. So we have the Cameron youth versus the Rice Lake youth. So that'll be fun to see if we can get that worked out well. We always have a silent auction with local businesses who are very generous and donate, and we form baskets, and you can go around as a silent auction as a way to raise funds for it, as well as the Miracle Minute, which is actually 79 seconds because every 79 seconds someone is diagnosed with cancer. So we always do that. That's big. The boys run for the boys team. We're not entirely sure who's running the stands for the girls team, but it's good to see. And then, like I said, playing for a cause. That's the whole point of the night, is just focusing on cancer. It's not specific to any type. It's for all of them. All of the players give us a list of who it is that they want to represent for that game, as well as the coaches. So that's really cool. When you do the starting lineups, having those just set out, it just means a lot, adds more meaning behind the game. So that'll be December 9th. And then the following day, we have the Red Cross Blood Drive, the first one of the 2025 to 2026 school year. It's open to students and staff. You need to be 16 to 18 years old to, as a student, be able to do it. And if you're under 18, we have a signed parent permission slip. It's in the gym, so we set it up in there. We work it all day. 8 to 2, and then that last 5th hour, we have people signed up to help us take it down. We do have a little incentive of a $15 Amazon gift card and a Culver's ice cream coupon. Also, lots of food. Tradle really good about businesses helping to donate food, so we provide with food. Good to replenish also after donating, so you don't pass out or anything like that. But so that's taking place soon, so it'll be an eventful week for us that week. But that's what we've got for coming up right now.
Any questions?
Very nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have our district administrator comments.
Yeah, just a couple more things to add. Just a reminder for listeners and viewers, there is no school for students this Wednesday through Friday of this week for Thanksgiving break. Next Tuesday, December 2nd, is the Rice Lake High School Parent-Teacher Conferences. And next Thursday, there will be some sort of district representation, but good for our community as well. Thursday, December 4th, is the Rice Lake Holiday Parade coming up a week from this Thursday. So please continue to check social media for the number of great things happening in the school district.
Can I please add something to Randy's comments that he did not mention for himself? But Boys and Girls Club has a state alliance, and Randy was nominated and was awarded Outstanding Board Member for 2026 for Boys and Girls Club Board. So.
All right. I would entertain a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851E, and that's an individual employee contract, and 19.851C, and that's the approval of the closed session meeting minutes from Monday, November 10th, and a district administrator evaluation.
I would move to go to close.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Doug Kuchko,
Yes.
Lori Zarbak,
Yes.
Don Kuski,
Not much.
Andrew Coop,
Yes.
Phil Hinkle,
Here.
Kevin Jensen,
Yes.
Miriam Vavra,
Yes.
Bert Richard, and Nellie Shire.
Yes. Lori?
If you couldn't know.
Lori, were you in a box
Take your dog.
yesterday?